Okay, here we are. Okay, so tonight, welcome everyone. And if you're doing this class later, welcome whenever you're joining. We're going to start by lying down tonight. So you could lie on a bolster or a folded blanket. You could lie flat on your back. And you can just settle in here. And then option 2, have your feet on the floor with your knees bent and or extending your legs out. Giving yourself a couple clearing breaths here perhaps to allow yourself to settle in, to settle into the floor, settle into your body. And closing your eyes or softening your gaze here. And each time you breathe out, each time you exhale, allow part of your body to soften or settle or let go a bit more. And also start to let your mind release a little bit more here. And since we're lying down on our back, you may want to notice your breath moving into the front of your body and then feeling the back of your body settle as you breathe out. And then find a rhythm for your breathing where both your inhale and your exhale are the same length. And start to let go of your day so far, all of the thoughts in your mind that's led you up to this point. And give yourself permission to be here in this moment, in your body, as we move through this practice. And continue with your breathing here for the next few couple minutes. We'll just focus on our breathing, so staying present to your breath. Taking about 5 more breaths here in this way. And very gently begin to circle your ankles and your wrists. Point and flex your toes. And you might want to give yourself a full body stretch here. Reach your arms overhead. Ooh, excuse me, stretching from your fingers to your toes. And then if you're on the bolster, just gently rolling, or on a blanket, rolling to the side and moving your bolster away from your back and off to the side for right now. Push that away. And we'll come to lie flat on our back. And we'll start with both feet on the ground, feet a little wider, perhaps as wide as your mat, and releasing your knees from side to side a few times here. And you could also move your head from side to side as well if you like. Coming back to the center and bringing one knee or both knees into your chest, and let's rock a little bit here on our lower back, or make some big or small circles as you draw your knees away from you and then back towards the center a few times in one direction and a few times in the opposite direction. And then let's come back to the center here, bringing our feet down. Let's extend our legs. Let's come into a side body stretch on our back. So moving both of your feet over towards the left side of your mat, and then moving your upper body to the left as well. So making a crescent shape, keeping your right hip anchoring down. And if your arms can reach overhead and rest on the floor, you could take them overhead here. You can even grab your right wrist with your left hand. Some of you may be able to cross your right ankle over your left as well here. If you feel like your right hip looks away or your sit bone looks away from the ground a bit, you can uncross your feet or just come back to the center a little bit here. Couple big breaths into the side of your body, and then exhale to let the back of your body settle, relaxing towards the floor a bit more. And then as you're ready, let's release our arms, uncross your feet, and bring your body back into the center, or you might want to give yourself a full body stretch in the center. And then let's move both of our feet over to the right and also our upper body to the right. And again, if your arms can lay flat, you could take your arms overhead or even grab your left wrist with your right hand. And then if you want to cross your ankle here, you can, or keep your feet both on the floor. And then breathing into your left side, and then exhale to relax your shoulders, relax your hips back towards the floor. Just a few more breaths here. Try to let go and soften in a bit more. And then as you're ready, let's uncross our legs, part our hands, come back to the center. And you can take a big body stretch here again, or bring both of your knees back into your chest and make some movement here. And then let's come back to the center and bring the bottoms of our feet together to touch. Knees wide for bound angle. And we'll pause here for a little bit of a longer hold. So you could take your arms out in line with your shoulders or bend your elbows, take your arms overhead. or just rest your hands beside you. You could draw your shoulder blades underneath you and then close your eyes here. For anyone where your knees are up really high, support your outer legs and hips with blocks or folded up, rolled up blankets. And really focusing on our breath here. So breathing into our belly or breathing into your chest. And then exhaling to feel the back of your body soften, feel your hips relax, and letting go a little bit here. Maybe taking about 5 more breaths here. Knowing you can always move out of any posture earlier if you need to. And as you're ready, bringing your knees back towards one another, you could release your knees a few times side to side or any other release that feels good for you here. And then let's come up to our to tabletop. So either rolling to your side and up to your seat or rocking up to your seat. Let's come around here, hands underneath your shoulders and knees underneath your hips. So we'll start with some cat and cow, arching and rounding through your spine. And any other movement that feels good to warm up your spine, moves from side to side, or excuse me, some big circles. And then we're going to extend a leg back, maybe bring our knee to the side and back to the center, make a few hip circles like this. Or you could bring your knee up to the wide to the side, extend it back. So, or you can move a bit from side to side. So creating some movement here for your hip joint. And then coming to the other side. So some circles. And then back to the center here, where we'll move into child's pose. For anyone that has a bolster, you could use your bolster, or you could support your head with a block or stacking your hands. As you settle into child's pose, we'll breathe into the back of our body now, and then exhale to soften the front of our body. Relax your belly, relax your heart space, the center of your chest. You're welcome to stay in the center, or you could weave your right arm underneath your left arm. And you could pause here or take your left arm and rest it on your lower back, or extend it forward here. Continue to breathe deeply into the back of your body and then soften the front of your body. Soften into your right arm, your shoulder, the side of your head. And if you came over to one side, come back to the center, and let's take our left arm and weave it underneath our right. And then as you're ready, let's come back to the center and let's rise and come back up to tabletop here, where you can pause or take a couple breaths through cat and cow. And then from here tonight, we're going to come right onto the front of our body. So lowering down so that you're lying on the front of your body. So a couple of options for this pose. You could come to a low cobra, hands underneath your shoulders, elbows in, so you're lifting your shoulders up and away from the floor. You could come up to Sphinx pose with your elbows slightly forward of your shoulders, shoulders back. For those of you that have bolsters, for Sphinx pose, you could tuck the bolster around your upper rib cage and just allow your arms to be a bit more free here, shoulders to be a bit more free. And we'll connect into our breath here. If you'd like to bring your chin down towards your chest, let your head release. That's an option. And for these last few breaths, if you want to bend your knees, if you're in Sphinx pose and that doesn't create tension in your lower back, feel free to bend your knees here as well. And if you've lifted your legs, begin to lower your legs back down. If you have a bolster underneath you, bring that bolster forward. And let's slide our left knee up alongside of us. And you can rest your head and gaze to the left or close your eyes and have your forehead on your hands here. Some deep breaths into the back of your body. And as you're ready, let's come back to the center with both your leg and then also your head. And then keeping your head in the center here, let's bend our right knee. Let's reach back with our right hand, grab the top of your foot. If you can't grab your foot, if you have a yoga strap, you can take the yoga strap around your foot and hold the strap. You can keep your forehead on the floor here, keeping yourself low and drawing your heel in, pressing the front of your hip into the floor. So you may want to lift up into a bit of a back bend here, which if that's accessible for you, you can also do that by bringing your left elbow in and then coming back to your breath here. When you're ready to release that side, let's bend both knees and release our feet from side to side a few times here. And then let's switch sides. For those of you that took the back bend, you may want to take that here on the side, just see how that feels. If not, anchoring the front of your hip into the floor and keeping your head down. So this might be accessible for some and for some it may not. And coming back to your breath. And then as you're ready, let's release that side. Let's again bend both knees and release your feet side to side a few times. And then we're going to draw our right knee up alongside of us. And you could turn your head over to that same side. And as you're ready, bringing your knee back to the center. And then let's come all the way back up to tabletop here. And let's step our right foot forward. I'm going to grab my blocks first here. So you could have a block underneath or a folded blanket underneath your left knee, right foot forward. We're going to hang out here for a little bit. If you have blocks, you can use the blocks to lift up a bit higher. I'm going to turn to the side first again. So having your foot a little bit wider and turned out will let your knee open. Just check that your knee is right over top of your ankle, that you haven't popped your knee forward of your ankle. You just want to move your back leg back a little bit. If you have blocks, you can lift yourself a bit more upright. But you could also use the blocks to lower onto your forearms, either stacking the blocks or having the blocks individually underneath your arms, or just on your hands here. In this, it can be quite intense sometimes if you need to pop and straighten out your front leg a little bit and come back in to the posture or shift around a little bit. Do what you need to do. You can bring your chin towards your chest and we'll connect into our breath here. More breaths here. As you're ready, begin to straighten out your front leg, moving your hips back, and then walk your front foot into the center a little bit. And then we're going to lift the bottom of our front foot. And for those of you that have blocks, you could either lift up higher, lift up a lot higher if you want, or you could fold in. So that's your choice. And squaring your hips, so the inside of your left hip pulls forward slightly, and your right hip pulls back. Almost feels like you're going to drag or pull your right heel back, but keeping it stationary there. Flexing your toes slightly. Just a few more breaths here. You ready? Let's bring your right foot back and take a moment either in child's pose, tabletop. Some of you may want to walk it out in downward dog. So take a few breaths before we come to the other side. We're going to transition in a moment. And then we're going to come to the other side when you're ready. So you can place a blanket or a block underneath your right knee and then stepping your left foot forward. Front knees over your ankle, toes turned out slightly. Hands on the inside of your front foot. This side might feel different. So blocks or no blocks, you may lift up higher. You might walk your hands a bit more forward or come to your forearms. And remember, you can always move. You can always straighten out for a moment and come back into the posture. And come back to your breath here. Just a few more breaths here. So when you're ready, moving your hips back, straightening out your front leg, moving your front foot into the center a bit more, and then adjusting as you need to flex your foot, and then draw your right hip forward, left hip back slightly. And then any variation with your arms here. So blocks or no blocks, you can lower, you could lift up a bit higher if you like. And you can also flex the pinky toe side of your foot a bit more towards you as you continue to square your hips. If you're folding in, feel as if you're moving your sit bones back and lengthening, or even feel as if you're going to pull or drag your front heel back without moving it. One more breaths here. And then as you're ready, we'll move that leg back. And options again, child's pose or down dog or tabletop with some breaths here. And we're going to come to a standing forward fold. So in any way that makes sense for you to roll up onto your feet or step your feet forward into a forward fold. And you could grab opposite elbows or let your arms hang here. And let the weight of your head release a bit more. Chin towards your chest. Some deep breaths here. Breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth, clearing it out. And then let's lift up halfway and then begin to move all the way up to standing here. And then let's take a breath in, reach our arms up. And exhale, let's forward fold again. Let's find a halfway lift as we inhale. Exhale to fold. And inhale to rise up to stand. Reach your arms up and hands to heart center. Exhale. And one more time like that. Inhale. And then exhale, forward fold. Inhale to lift up halfway. Exhale, fold in. Inhale, let's rise back up. And hands to heart center, exhale. So we're going to move with our breath. On the exhale, though, we're going to come into squat pose. You may want to walk your feet a little wider and turned out. I'll turn this to face you for this one. Let's take a breath in, reach our arms up, inhale. And then exhale, as your hands come to heart center, come to sit down into squat pose and just adjusting your feet a bit here perhaps. Where we'll take a couple breaths to settle in. Now we're going to push through our feet. We're going to inhale, reach our arms up. And exhale, hands to heart center. Let's try that again. Inhale, reach your arms up. And exhale, we'll move down into squat pose. We'll settle in for a breath or two here. And then as you're ready, inhale, let's rise and come up. And hands to heart center, exhale. Let's try that one more time. Inhale. Exhale, sit down into squat pose. Couple breaths here. And then let's inhale and rise. Reaching your arms up. Hands to heart center, exhale. Let's walk our feet in. And maybe shake it out a little bit here. And let's step our left foot back, right foot is forward, both hips facing forward, both legs are straight. Let's take a deep breath in here. And then let's hinge forward and bring your hands to blocks, perhaps. Block. Or to the floor. See if you can keep your back heel anchored, hips square, so right hip moving back, left hip moving forward, and then folding in here. Maybe chin to chest. Shake out your head a couple times if that feels okay. Let your head release a bit more. Couple more breaths here. When you're ready to lift up halfway, let's step forward, right into our forward fold. Deep breath into your nose, out through your mouth. And take a couple breaths to ragdoll up to stand, taking your time, all the way up to standing. Shoulders go back and down a couple times. And as you're ready, stepping your right foot back this time. Hands on your hips. Find some length. Let's hinge forward. Bringing your hands to blocks or to the floor, and then folding in here. Couple more breaths. And then as you're ready, lifting up and stepping forward again, right into our forward fold. Couple clearing breaths. And from here, walking your feet wider again. We're going to come to sit down into squat pose one more time. And we'll settle in here for maybe 5 or 6 breaths, perhaps. Your time as you're ready to come back onto your seat and finding a bit of a release, either releasing your knees side to side a few times, extending your legs forward, shaking it out, or a little bit of both. So seeing how that feels. Okay. So, I'm going to take a wide-legged seated forward fold tonight. And if you don't have the space, taking your feet closer together, so in front of you. And we're going to start with a little length, so you may need to prop yourself up behind you, root into your fingertips to lean forward, but you might be able to just walk your hands forward a little bit and bring your chin down towards your chest. I often find that it's nice to have a bolster or blocks as a bit of a transition place, so you could rest your arms, especially if you're moving forward quite a bit. You might want to have that. Or it's even nice to maybe rest your forehead on if you're folding in that much as well. But no worries if you don't have blocks or any props. And let your inhale fill up your rib cage, the back of your body, and then let your exhale soften you forward through the front of your body. A few more breaths here. as you're ready, we're going to take a bit of a twist over to one side. So if you have both legs extended forward, you'll want to extend your right leg to the side and maybe tuck your right foot in. We're going to start with our right arm on the inside of our right leg. And we're going to put a little bit of pressure towards our leg, open up across your chest, twisting open towards the ceiling, and then flex your feet. And maybe reach either your hand can reach up or your hand can stay on your hip of your left arm. Or maybe over, as long as you keep your heart open here, connecting into your breath. And when you're ready, we're going to lift upright and then come to the other side. A little bit of a pressure of your arm on the inside of your leg, heart turning open, either hand on your hip or reaching your arm up here. If you're reaching your arm up, you might be able to reach over a little bit here. Just notice if you start to cave towards the floor. Let's keep our heart open. Connecting to your breath. And as you're ready, let's rise and come back to the center. And let's bring our legs back forward. Give yourself a little bit of a release, either releasing your knees side to side or extending your legs forward, shaking out your feet a little bit. That's good. So, just looking at the time, make sure we have time. Okay, so there is a bit of a heart opener I'd like to do. And there's a couple props for this one. So if you don't have a block, you'll use a folded up blanket or perhaps made into a tube or a cylinder across your mat this way. You can also use a bolster. I'm going to show what this looks like with the block. So I'm going to put one of the blocks. You can see this is the long edge here, and it's on the flattest part. You're going to be like, what is she doing? Now, I'm going to actually lower onto the block, but I'm going to bring the one edge of the block here right near the I guess it's closer to the end of my rib cage, maybe a little bit lower. So I want this block to be right in between my shoulder blades. Now, you can see as I do that, it's quite a big heart opener, and your neck may not like that. So you're either going to place another block underneath your head, either the soft foam one or another hard foam block, and then open up across your arms if it's comfortable. If the block is really digging in, which it does, but you just cannot tolerate that for whatever reason. Imagine this is like a rolled up blanket if you don't have a bolster. So you just don't want to have the bolster on your lower back, but you also want to have the tops of your shoulder blades free, so that you're in this heart opener here. A little bit more cushiony. So that's your choice. Either one of those. Block. And then we're going to settle in. Now, I have my knees bent right now, and that's just to create a little less of a back bend in my lower back. But if you're feeling okay here, you can extend out through your legs. Breathing up into your heart space. A couple clearing breaths. Just a few more breaths here. Now, in any way that makes sense, either lifting up or rolling over to the side, we're going to come back up. And we're going to move into pigeon pose next. So, if pigeon is not for you because of your knees or whatever reason, come to lie down on your back and come into figure four instead. And if you're coming into pigeon, settling into one side here. Take about 5 more breaths wherever it is that you are. And wherever it is that you are, give yourself an opportunity to come out, maybe make a bit of movement here. And then we'll come on to the other side when you're ready. Just a couple more breaths on the side. As you're ready, coming out of this side, any little bit of movement that you need before coming onto your back, unless you're already in figure four, you're already on your back. And when you're ready to come lay down, make your way onto your back and either place both feet on the floor with your knees bent, or bring your knees up in towards your chest and rock a little bit here. A little bit of movement, taking a couple clearing breaths perhaps here. Let's bring both knees up towards our chest and we'll come into happy baby. So you can either hold onto the tops of your knees or behind your knees, bringing your knees wide. You could reach to the inside of your knees for your ankles or feet and stack your ankles over top of your knees. And then we're working our lower back and shoulders back down towards the floor here. And then let's release happy, excuse me, happy baby. Let's bring both feet down to the floor. And let's bring our knees up and over to the right side for a twist or any twist of your choice here. So you could stack both knees. If you have another twist that you prefer, please take some time to make your way into that. Couple big breaths, clearing breaths. And allow the weight of your body to settle towards the floor, but also start to feel your energy settling and grounding and getting a bit closer to the floor. And then as you're ready, let's come back to the center and let's move our knees over to the other side here. Again, taking a couple clearing breaths to settle your energy, to settle your body towards the floor. And when you're ready, let's come back to the center. And one more opportunity to bring your knees to your chest or rock a little bit side to side with your feet on the floor. And then it's time for Shavasana. So take a moment to put on a blanket or set up your bolster and find a comfortable place for Shavasana. Lying down on your back, extending your arms and your legs if that's comfortable. Giving yourself an opportunity to move around a little bit until you feel settled. Take a couple clearing breaths here. Give yourself permission to just be, to surrender and let go a bit more. Slowly begin to deepen your breath. Bring your awareness back into your body, back into your room. Make some gentle movements. Fingers, toes, ankles, and wrists. If you're lying down, you could give yourself a full body stretch or bring your knees back into your chest and rock a bit here. And taking your time to roll to your side before coming back up to your seat. As you come up to your seat, bring your palms together at your heart or hands over your heart. And then take a couple breaths into your heart space. Feel yourself settling as you exhale. Really thank yourself for being here tonight. Or whenever you're watching this video, thank yourself for taking the time to be here. And I'd like to thank you as well. Namaste.